Voters keep saying over and over again, we are not comfortable with this level of immigration. I understand why. It doesn't make you a racist to say that. And yet, the liberal parts of, certainly in America, Alex Padilla said last week, he is our senator here, by reviving Trump's asylum ban, Biden has undermined American values. And then they all stand back and go, we don't want to be called a racist, so we will not make a move on immigration.
So everyone is roasting the left for their disastrous sanctuary city experiments, and now Maher has officially joined the fray. According to him, the entire concept was never practical in the first place, and he even warned the DNC early on, but they refused to listen. That stubbornness has now exploded into one of the worst migrant crises in modern history, and Maher can't bite his tongue anymore. Buckle up, folks. This one's scorching hot.
It's, again, the same principle as I was saying before about, like, the reverse of what liberalism really is. Liberalism is, for the sake of humanity and compassion, can we get these people off the streets? And woke is, how dare you ask them to move? This is their home.
They have rights.
No, it's not. There's easily a better solution to this. Instead, they put them in hotels? That's your answer, hotels? Could everybody just stop the posturing?
Maher takes a hard stance on what he considers true liberalism, and it's definitely not about turning city streets into open-air shelters. He argues that genuine compassion means getting the homeless off the streets and into real help, not making them more comfortable living there. To Maher, real liberalism is about addressing the root causes of homelessness, including mental illness, addiction, and chronic joblessness, not romanticizing homelessness as some kind of alternative lifestyle. He openly blasts those who insist the homeless should simply be left alone wherever they camp, calling that approach a symptom of the fringe left. In his view, refusing to intervene isn't kindness at all. It's negligence dressed up as virtue. Maher reminds his audience that liberalism once stood for real solutions, for helping people rebuild their lives with dignity and structure, not indulging delusion under the banner of empathy. As he puts it, progress isn't found in ignoring suffering. It's found in ending it.
Don't pretend that you love migrants so much, and then when we send them to you, you don't like them. You know? Mm-hmm. You're full of mm-hmm. And we can see that. Yeah, you like them when it wasn't your problem because you're not a border state. And then when they show up in Chicago and New York, you're like, what are we going to do with these people?
Yeah.
That's true. We've watched several non-border blue states like New York, Illinois, and Massachusetts loudly champion open borders when it's politically convenient, only to go into full-blown panic the moment the migrants actually arrive. These states, far removed from the southern border, were the first to virtue signal about limitless compassion and unconditional welcome. But when buses filled with migrants began rolling into New York City, when Chicago's shelters burst at the seams, and when Massachusetts was forced to declare a state of emergency, they suddenly changed their tune. They pretend to love migrants as long as the cameras are rolling, preaching empathy and inclusion at every press conference. Yet the moment those same migrants appear on their doorstep, they race to push them away or beg the federal government for help. It's a glaring display of hypocrisy, one that exposes the massive gap between their lofty rhetoric and the harsh reality they never prepared for. Turns out it's very easy to demand open borders when it's someone else's backyard being flooded.
Eventually, this was going to come to a neighborhood near you. Having someone embedded is a good start. That came from the Secretary of Homeland Security. We want to thank him. But I've been very clear on what we need. We need to control the border. We need to call a state of emergency, and we need to properly fund this national crisis.
That's Mayor Eric Adams, one of the loudest voices who once campaigned for open borders and proudly branded New York as a sanctuary city. But now, faced with an overwhelming migrant crisis, he's singing a very different tune. Adams has learned the hard way that the open border fantasy was never sustainable. The shelters are overflowing, the city's budget is spiraling out of control, and the residents are fed up. So suddenly, he's calling for stronger border control. An ironic twist from the man who once welcomed everyone with open arms. It's refreshing to see a dose of reality finally break through. But what about leaders like Los Angeles Mayor Karen Bass or California Governor Gavin Newsom? Do you think they'd ever admit that the open borders agenda was a colossal mistake? Not a chance. They'll keep defending the illusion of compassion while their cities continue to buckle under the weight of their own failed ideology.
Alex Padilla said last week, he is our senator here, By reviving Trump's asylum ban, Biden has undermined American values. And then they all stand back and go, we don't want to be called a racist, so we will not make a move on immigration. It's going to get them at Election Day. It's happening in Europe right now. That proves it in Europe, and it's going to happen here in America.
And that right there is the real problem. Many Democrats quietly understand that the open borders approach is undermining America's safety and stretching its resources to the breaking point. Behind the scenes, they see exactly what's happening. The strain on major cities, the rise in crime, and the overwhelmed social services that can no longer keep up. But when the cameras turn on, they fall in line and pretend everything is fine. Why? Because telling the truth now comes with a steep price. The moment anyone in their ranks dares to question the policy, the fringe left swoops in with accusations of xenophobia, cruelty, or betrayal. So, instead of honesty, we get silence. Instead of leadership, we get fear and political self-preservation. Many Democrats would rather safeguard their image than safeguard the country. And that's why this crisis drags on. Because courage has been replaced by cowardice wrapped in political correctness.
It's going to get them at Election Day. It's happening in Europe right now. That proves it in Europe, and it's going to happen here in America.
There's a real moral reason that we should let people into this country who are suffering
At any number?
No, I mean,
but that's their point. But 64% of Latinos support giving the president authority to shut down the U.S. borders. 62% of registered voters would deport all migrants living in the U.S. illegally.
Hate immigrants.
Listen, they don't hate immigrants.
This is where things get really interesting. According to the stats Bill Maher just cited, even immigrants themselves are against open borders. That's right. The very people the left claims to be protecting actually support stronger border control. They understand better than anyone the chaos and instability that come with uncontrolled immigration. Many of them came here legally, followed the rules, worked hard to build a life, and now watch in frustration as the entire system is stretched thin by those who cross with zero accountability. These immigrants know that compassion without structure isn't kindness, it's pure chaos. They've seen firsthand what happens when borders fall apart and lawlessness takes over, often because they came from countries where that exact scenario destroyed entire communities. So if the very people liberals insist they are saving are demanding tighter borders, maybe it's time for Democratic leadership to start paying attention. When those who have lived the experience firsthand begin sounding the alarm, ignoring them isn't progressive, it's dangerously reckless.
What do you New Yorkers think of how Mayor Eric Adams and Governor Kathy Hochul?
Yes, you pronounced it right.
I take it you're a big fan. Have handled the city's migrant crisis. I saw today they're offering any of these migrants, this sounds like a game show, a plane trip to anywhere in the world. There's policy, you don't have to go home, but you can't stay here.
Yeah, that's pure desperation right there. Mayor Eric Adams and Governor Kathy Hochul have both hit their breaking point with the migrant crisis and decided to get creative, or at least that's what they convinced themselves, their big solution, offering free plane rides for migrants to relocate somewhere else. On paper, it sounds generous, maybe even clever. But here's the problem. Almost nobody is taking those flights. Why? Because these migrants didn't risk everything just to end up anywhere. They came specifically to the United States, and they're not about to hop on a plane to some random destination just to make New York's problems disappear. The plan flopped spectacularly, revealing just how futile and poorly thought out the whole approach really was, a policy built on feel-good slogans instead of real strategy. Now, the same Democrats who once bragged loudly about being a sanctuary for all are quietly trying to distance themselves from the crisis they helped create. They're running from their own policies but can't admit it publicly, because doing so would mean acknowledging that conservatives were right all along.
But didn't some of these places sort of deserve it, I'll ask you this, by saying we're a sanctuary city, like how these terrible racist border states were, and then when they called their bluff and sent the migrants to them, they were like, suddenly they weren't quite so liberal. They're what I call liberal in theory people. No. A lot of people are liberal in theory, and when the migrants arrived, they were like, what the
I'd call it what it is. Double standards. The liberals have perfected the art of saying whatever sounds good to the crowd, especially when the cameras are rolling and the election clock is ticking. They preach compassion, equality, and inclusion, delivering carefully crafted sound bites designed to earn applause and secure votes. But when those same policies spiral out of control and start producing real-world chaos, Suddenly, it's nothing but silence, denial, and finger-pointing. When the pressure hits, they scramble to distance themselves, pretending they never supported the very ideas they once championed loudly. The second their feel-good rhetoric collides with reality, they run for cover. It's political theater at its absolute worst. Perform empathy when it's convenient. Abandon responsibility when it's not. True leadership means standing by your convictions even when things go wrong. But for many liberals today, it's all about optics, not outcomes, and that hypocrisy is finally catching up with them.
Part of this is a backlash to how badly Biden handled the immigration situation. It can't just be like come one, come all, which
Dude,
it was.
There's plenty of room here, and we need
Room.
There's plenty of room in America. Come on, there's not a lack of room in America.
But it's never about room, it's about resources and about like having countries have to have a border. It just can't be, I mean, they've done surveys and something like 200 million people around the world, when asked, would you come to America if you could? Yes, I would. Why wouldn't they? Lots of countries, are holes,
right?
And they would love to be here. You can't
I mean,
just let
I'm
any...
not right. No, right. The places aren't holes, but...
Well, they are. That's why they want to come.
And it's usually because of America, what America's done.
Bill Maher sums it up perfectly. It's not about room, it's about resources. America may be vast, wealthy, and powerful, but even the greatest nation on earth has limits. You can't endlessly invite the entire world in when housing, healthcare, schooling, and social systems are already stretched to the breaking point. Compassion without capacity isn't compassion at all. It's slow-motion self-destruction disguised as virtue. Maher argues that instead of flooding across borders, migrants should channel that same determination into fixing their own countries, fighting corruption, demanding accountability, and building something better where they are. Running to America cannot be the only solution. Every nation has a responsibility to improve itself and create opportunities for its own citizens, because if the U.S. collapses under the weight of everyone else's problems, nobody wins. It's not cruelty to say no. It's realism, and it's a necessary defense of a nation's survival.
Immigrants don't like it that the left seems to have this unrelenting negativity toward the country that these immigrants work so hard to get here.
Good point.
They really worked hard to get here. And when Trump says, I think a lot of them are going, yeah, you're right, it's a hole where I came from. Why do you think I got on the ocean on a raft or walked 1,000 miles? Because I was living in paradise? There are places that are in this world, and the immigrants know it.
I might not use the exact words Maher did, but he's absolutely right about one thing. There are countless countries far less desirable than America. And that's exactly why millions of people risk everything to come here, seeking safety, opportunity, and the promise of a better future. But here's the hard truth that too many refuse to acknowledge. Welcoming everyone without proper screening, documentation, or any form of accountability doesn't make us noble or compassionate. It makes us dangerously vulnerable. Unchecked immigration isn't compassion, it's chaos waiting to happen. When people pour in without order or oversight, we have no idea who they are, what their intentions might be, or how our already strained communities and services will manage the additional pressure. America can continue to be a beacon of hope, but only if it protects the very qualities that make it worth coming to in the first place: order, law, stability, and a system that actually works. Ignore those foundations, and it's only a matter of time before our beloved country begins to resemble the very places people are desperately fleeing. In the end, Maher's message cuts through all the political noise. America's compassion cannot come at the cost of its own survival. Sanctuary cities have collapsed under the weight of their own hypocrisy. Blue states that once preached open borders are now frantically backpedaling, and even immigrants themselves are demanding stronger, more controlled borders. Yet the left still refuses to admit what's plainly obvious. Open borders don't save anyone. They endanger everyone. Real liberalism isn't built on slogans or virtue signaling. It's built on practical, sustainable solutions that actually help people. Until Democrats accept the simple reality that a nation without control isn't a nation at all, this crisis will continue to deepen. America's heart is big, yes, but its resources, infrastructure, and patience are not limitless. And on that note, we draw the curtains on today's video. If you enjoyed it, make sure to hit the like button and subscribe to this channel for more videos just like this.